So 7-2. 7-2.
7-2.
One thing I want to talk about from that game, I didn't realize that on the Diggs touchdown, I was watching it back last night, and I didn't realize that he had put one of the DBs on skates. I don't know if you saw the replay, but like if you watch it, one guy kind of goes in for the tackle, and I think Steph fakes him out, and he's just like, it's just like a whoop, like like what noise like Chris Berman makes. It's like one of those moments where I was just like, oh,
Yeah, it was number 36,
yes.
whoever that is. Name's eluding me right now. But yeah, number 36, he like tried to like jump back to try to make the play, and he was already out of position. That was fun. 7-2 was fun.
What's more fun, 7-2 or being accused of cheating for random BS?
Definitely 7-2. I mean, the random BS is whatever, but people will try to justify it however they can. I saw one person who was like, "Oh yes, I found the video of the guy clapping," and I'm like, "Bro, what? Like, what are we talking about?"
I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like Atlanta, there's certain teams in the NFL, but I feel like Atlanta's one of them where I don't remember what the orb from SpongeBob is called, but you know the one where he turns it on and he
Oh yeah, the aura of confusion.
yeah, pretty much like a lot of the time, like it's like, oh, okay, Atlanta has a chance to do this, but then they get the one penalty and they have to call a time. They get the penalty in their favor, have to call a timeout. Because of that, they run the clock down. The Parker Romo kick. So basically, the orb of confusion really hits you hard, especially if you're wearing a Falcons, like any Falcons paraphernalia.
Yeah, no, I cannot believe Parker Romo missed that kick. That was insane. I mean, it was one of those like I think the game would have ended the same. The Patriots would have won. But the missed kick from the guy that in week 2, everyone's like, "Oh, we kept the wrong kicker." It's like, nah, they got the right kicker.
Yeah, no. They got the right kicker. They got the right quarterback. But throughout the whole 7-2 chaos has been, I know we spoke about it briefly, the whole thing of the trade deadline, them not doing anything. But I've always been the proprietor of, look, the Colts have that window already where they can kind of go for it, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
I'd rather see the Patriots go for it, like, late February, early March, like, where the combine's going on, but you hear their name where it's like, hey, the Patriots are kind of sniffing around, like, hey, they're doing this and this. Like, I saw today there was already one mock draft up, so I decided it felt great having to scroll all the way to the bottom of it to see where New England's picking. But it was a wide receiver out of Tennessee to where it's like, oh, you got to get Drake May a vertical downfield threat. And I'm like, that's cool and all, but we spoke about this too. We need edge rushers.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just say, hey, get May more toys. You can do that, I think, free agency, everything like that. And I did look at I thought the edge class was bad, but I did a little more diving. And there's one guy I would potentially take a chance on, and that is AJ Epinesa from the Bills. Like, I know he hasn't really flourished to what I think people thought he was going to be coming out, but when you need depth, and like we're saying too, edge is a position where you're not going to find the golden gooses anymore. Those guys that get locked up the long term, they get the money. That's why guys like Caleb Von Chason, Harold Landry, etc., hit free agency. The guys who it's a little rough around the edges, unless you're willing to give up something in a trade. And I still want to float the Trey Hendrickson name out there, but I feel like even if he hits free agency, I feel like he'll still be asking for more than what he's probably worth at this point in his career.
Yeah, I don't really get it with Trey Hendrickson. I think he's a great player. I just don't really get him for the Patriots timeline wise, because he's going to be 31 years old, right? That just doesn't really seem like someone that fits the current timeline of the Patriots. And I know they're 7-2, so people are like, "Oh yes, the timeline has been accelerated." I just don't. Personally, I don't believe that. And I know Vrabel doesn't believe that. He has said as much. Like, this is still year 1 of the rebuild. So I don't know that he necessarily makes a ton of sense. AJ Epinesa is he's a fun one, because I think he is someone who, like, to a letter, fits a Bill Belichick defense. Like, that's where I could see him, like, absolutely thriving, playing outside on base downs, kicking inside on pass rush downs. I just don't know that that's how the Terrell Williams defense kind of plays. But if you can rob a division rival of a good player, by all means do it. I just think more generally speaking, I completely agree. We absolutely need another pass rusher in New England, because like I mentioned to you in a text, right? The starting edges, Caleb Von Chason and Harold Landry have combined for 11 sacks, right? They have 5.5 apiece. And every other edge rusher on the roster has one. That's Anthony Jennings in garbage time 2 weeks ago. Like,
who was being shopped at the deadline.
right, who apparently, doesn't fit. But I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, good edge players are good edge players. It just doesn't really make sense to get rid of good edge players. But that's neither here nor there. They absolutely need a third edge rusher. I just don't really know where that's going to come from outside of the draft, right? Like, that's just the position you're going to have to draft for. I don't know that, you're going to find one in free agency where you're going to be like, oh yeah, I feel real good about this guy. It'll probably be a, situational pass rusher, right? Like someone who kind of fits what Uche was doing here a few years ago, Akeem Ayers in 2014. The guys that, like, he's not playing every snap. He's probably playing a third of the snaps, and it's only on third and long or fourth down. Just the guy whose only job is like, hey, you get out there and you get after the passer. That's literally all you're going to do. So they do need a third rusher to kind of like fit that rotation. But they didn't feel like the value was appropriate out there at the trade deadline, so they didn't make a move. A player that I kind of would have taken a flyer on is Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. He was with the Browns. I didn't even realize he was with the Browns, but he was I think a first round pick or a high second round pick. First round pick for the Bucks during the Brady years. So and he's someone who's like he's a good athlete, long, just like he has the base. He just kind of needs to develop as a pass rusher. He's someone I would have taken a flyer on. The Bears ended up making that move. They did the old New England trade. They gave up a sixth for him and a seventh. So, which is exactly what Keon White went for and what Kyle Duggar ended up going for as well. So that's a player that, like, if you're like, hey, put a name to it, like I always say, like, hey, if you're going to say, hey, the Patriots should have made a move for X player or should have made a room move at this position or that position, I always say, hey, go ahead and put a name on it, because I think it's really easy, especially at the trade deadline, to say, oh, they should have got a guy. And everyone's way less confident when you tell them, like, okay, well, who was the guy? Because then all of a sudden it's no longer like, no one's as confident anymore. They're not like, oh, they should have went out and got this guy. It's always like, oh, well, a player at the position. So that's a guy I would have targeted, but the rest of it, right? Like, I don't really care, right? Like, I know people are like, oh, well, what about, Rashid Shaheed? I like him as a player. I just, if they traded for him, that would have been cool. If they didn't, that's also cool, because I don't think receiver is a pressing need. I know Kayshon Boutte is on the mend right now. Is probably going to miss this week and, maybe back for next week per himself on Discord. But, if they added a guy, that would have been fine. But I don't really think like they need like, oh, we need a wide receiver right now. I just think it's a sexy position, right? So everyone's like, oh, we got to get Drake another weapon. And I'm like, got to get Drake some backup offensive linemen, right? Because they are thin at that position, which is actually the case throughout the entire roster. Yesterday, last night we talked about it in text, over text, about how they're lacking, depth on the defense, right? Like,
yeah,
the only position they can afford to take any injuries at whatsoever is defensive tackle, right? And that only goes one deep, because you're like, oh, you probably feel all right with Joshua Farmer as one of your starters. If Milton Williams or Christian Barmore is forced to miss a game, more than that, you're kind of in trouble. But if they're forced to miss a game, like, all right, you could probably handle it there. But like, nowhere else on the defensive side are they capable of handling any kind of injury, right? Like, if Bobby Spillane, God forbid, if he tweaks a hamstring and he misses a week, we're looking at Jack Gibbons and player to be named later, because I was actually going to say Christian Ellis, but he's hurt, right? And Martin Mapu is a run defender, so it's like, they're thin. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm just like, I don't know that you can necessarily fill. In fact, I do know. I don't think you can necessarily fill depth holes via trade, because of the cost in terms of the trade deadline. The cost is just so high, and you have so many positions to fill. You're just like, what are you going to do? Like, trade for, a backup safety, a backup linebacker, or a rotational third edge, a few backup offensive guards. Like, it gets silly. So I understand them standing pat from that standpoint.
So my other thing with too is standing pat, and even like how you were, some of the points you alluded to as well. It's like I said earlier, I'd rather wait until February, March, where the price of the deadline is going to go down significantly, because that's at the time where guys, that's when you're crunching numbers. That's when you're looking at the cap, where you're saying, hey, how do we afford this guy? Oh, we may have to shed weight with this guy. And that's when you move on from him. Like, the only other rumor out, and also to your Keyshawn Boutte point, I love how you pointed out on Discord. I feel like with the short week, I wouldn't be shocked to see him miss the Jets game either. But your Kyle Williams prediction, this might be the time that it comes true where he kind of plays himself into the lineup, has a really good game. We saw too at Tampa, Bucky Irvin, Chris Godwin are big question marks. I don't think they practiced today either. So it's not so much that it's going to be a test, but at the same time too, it's like that's where this week's tricky to figure out, like, okay, who's going to be the guy that emerges? You know, Keyshawn Boutte's been awesome. Obviously tweaked the hamstring last week. Demario Douglas, career day amidst tragedy. But with New England, no, like, it's like, you're right. You're not going to go out there. You're not going to give up. And I love how all the trade compensation now is just a brain rot, two brain rot numbers put together, 6 and 7. But it's just the whole thing where I think people are putting the cart before the horse in the sense of, oh, we're 7-2. Oh, we need to make moves, when it's just like, yeah, winning 6 straight is awesome. Yeah. You know, Sunday, I look at that game as, hey, more than beating the teams you're supposed to beat, the fact that was if that was the Patriots of the last 3 years, they lose that game 10 times out of 10. You know, 22, 23, 24, especially 22, when if they ever allowed more than 20 points, they would lose. That's just the facts. But basically, I think people, like you're saying, year one of the rebuild, year 1.5, I heard Andrew Callahan call it. Look at how this year goes, no matter where, because you and I agreed. I said to your text, there's a path, there's a clear path to 12-5 this year. Clear path. And if you can do that to where now next offseason, you can go ahead, instead of saying, hey, you know, we need to address these needs, it's more about the fine tuning of pieces, where it's, hey, you know, we need to add some more. We need to get another edge rusher. What can we get for trade? What could we potentially get in free agency? Like we say, if you want to rob a division rival for Epinesa. You know, same thing with secondary as well. You're also going to have some in-house issues to get signed. Gonzalez is going to be owed a contract. Demario Douglas, Keyshawn Boutte, Marte Mapu's an interesting one. But I feel like out of those 4, I feel like someone probably, I'd say, actually, no, I think you let them play the year. I don't think you worry about franchising any of them. You just kind of give Gonzalez an extension and then you move on from there. But yeah, there's a lot of questions to be answered. But I feel like for now, it's kind of, hey, enjoy the football, see where this goes, and just know that the most important position on the Patriots is filled, because thank God we have a quarterback, and that quarterback is awesome.
For certain. You know, people already did, reacted very strongly to his game on Sunday. You know, they're like, oh my gosh, like it felt almost like the Pittsburgh game, right? Like the aftermath of that, where that people just way overreacting on the game that Drake May played, right? Like he went 19 of 29 to 59 or 269, 2 touchdowns. The one interception, that was a miscommunication. The ball sailed right over the top of I think it was Hunter Henry who crossed flat, and that was the second time in that game that they had that same miscommunication, where earlier in the game it was the same thing where, I think that time it was Diggs, but he's running it flat across the field, and Drake throws it up like he's throwing a post, and the ball, at that time fell incomplete. But same kind of thing, where it's like, all right, that there's just a communication issue there on that particular route that they gotta, they'll sort that out. Obviously, miscommunications happen in general. I think when they end up in turnovers, people kind of harp on them a little more. But I think they happen a ton throughout the game all the time, and no one ever says anything, because, like, for the most part, you don't really notice it, right? You notice like the noticeable ones, like Kyle Williams. He's running a slant, and the ball's like 4 yards behind him, and everyone's like, "Oh man, there's something wrong there." I saw Taylor Kyles. He pointed out, fantastic beat reporter. And he used to do film breakdowns on Twitter before the man shut him down. The NFL hit him with that C&D and told him, "Hey, no more of that." But he had mentioned that on that particular route, on that concept, Keyshawn would be in that spot, and he usually runs out on a 3-step, 3 steps, boom, makes his cut, and he's out there, and Kyle ran it in 5. So it's like just a little, the nuances that I think will just come with more reps. But that was the second time actually that same route, they had that issue with that same route with Kyle Williams. It happened in the New Orleans game. If you go back on his one target against New Orleans, it was the same thing, where he's running the slant and the ball is just like 7 yards behind him, and you're like, he didn't quite run the right route, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
He's a rookie in his 9th game. That's kind of how it is. He's not getting a ton of starter reps. He hasn't been out there a ton. This was by far the most he's played. as far as like in terms of snaps. So I think that'll come. That's not really something I'm totally worried about. The fumble is just what the fumble is. Like I think generally though, I think where I'm at is like I kind of accept that this is part of like the experience with a second year quarterback. Like he's gonna fuck around and like put the ball in harm's way because they all do that, right? Like
Yeah, he muted himself, folks. But yeah,
yeah, I hit the thingy and it hit the mute. My bad. But
you're surviving and thriving. You're good. You're good. You're the MVP for still doing this.
But second year quarterbacks turn the ball over, right? Or they put the ball in position to be turned over. Like it happens. And that's something that just kind of gets worked out with experience. I think we're in a place where because of social media, everything gets hyper between social media and stand culture, everything gets like hyper inflated. So like a player will throw an interception and it'll be like, see, I told you, and it'll be like Drake May hater 828 at Twitter is like telling you how he was right. He sucks. He sucks. And it's not exclusive to Drake. Happens to Jaden Daniels, right? Like he went out there and he dislocated his elbow on was that Sunday night?
I don't get squeamish. That shit made me squeamish.
Yeah, that was not great. I actually it reminded me a lot of the Malcolm Mitchell injury. It was like the same kind of thing where he went down and it just popped the wrong way. You're like, but it's actually not a season-ending injury, right? It's usually about 4 to 6 weeks. But anyway, he got hurt on that play. And everybody see, told you, injury prone. And I'm like, oh, you're right. You're right. No other quarterback could have landed that way and broken his arm. Like, shut up. Like, that's literally how it goes. Anytime Caleb Williams does literally anything, there's like a horde, just a fucking army of weirdos on Twitter ready to tell you how terrible he is, citing that one mistake or whatever it is as the reason. And
everyone's writing off JJ, and he went out and had a great game.
Exactly. And the same thing happened to Drake May, where he the ball got poked out on the sack, right? Like Jalen Walker came around on the stunt, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at Mike Onwenu, he can't believe it." And I'm like, he was clearly engaged. He was in the middle of blocking Brandon Dorless, and then the loop came around. Like, it happens. Like, again, that's another one of those things that it happens literally every week. It just doesn't really matter unless you have an agenda to push, right? Unless you're like, oh, Mike Onwenu is bad, so this is why he's bad, because of this play. Same thing with Drake. Fumbled the football, and everyone's like, see, look at that. I'm like, he's a second-year quarterback. He fumbled the football. That literally, like, that's not breaking news. That is not breaking news. But it is what it is on that front. Drake is absolutely fine. He's going to remain absolutely fine. People really, really need to chill out. And I think generally, if the Falcons' record wasn't what it was, people wouldn't have been so reactive, right? Because people are like, oh, they're 3-4, they're a bad team. And I'm like, you just got to watch a little more football. They're 3-4, they are not a bad team, right? Like, they have a bad record, right? And who
they're a bad luck team.
Yes, you know what I mean? Like, the games they win. You're like, yeah, that team looks like a wagon. Like, who gonna stop
the Bills,
them?
for Christ's sake?
Right. But then again, you'll have people tell you that the Bills are a bad team. But all the same, people were just like, oh, like, they're a bad team. And I'm like, that is not a bad team they just lost to, right? Like, Drake May has thrown for the most amount of yards against that defense this year. They've played 8 games. Through 8 games. Like, that is
a better day against him than Josh Allen did.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is what we're talking about here. Like, this is where the bar is at right now. People just got to pump the brakes as a second-year quarterback and is, playing in his, I think, 23rd or 24th game. Relax. Relax on my quarterback. And then people are like, oh, well, this week is going to be the real test. We're going to play Tampa. Tampa's a good team. They're going to be a real test. And it kind of reminds me of that 2019 season or not the 2019 season, the 2016 season, where every week someone was like, oh, this is going to be the week. Watch. This is where they're going to, this defense is not that good. It's not that good. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, that was the year that we traded for Kyle Van Noy. And I remember the game against the Niners was the one where people were like, this is the week. Like, the Patriots are going to get exposed here. That defense is not that good. And that was the narrative every week straight through the Super Bowl.
That year under Chip Kelly.
Right. And then we end up in the Super Bowl. And, that's the 28-3. The Patriots are down 25 points. And everyone's like, see, told you, this was the real test. And then they won that game. It's another one of those. And I'm obviously not saying this team is going to go to the Super Bowl or anything of that magnitude. I'm just saying every week can't be a trap game. right? You can't tell me every week, like, this is going to be the week. Like, we got to watch out for this. Like, every single week, we heard it against the Bills. That was going to be the game. Like, oh, this is going to be really the game to tell us anything. The week after that, when they played the Saints, it was, oh, this is going to be the game coming off of a really emotional high. They're going to, crash and burn here. After that, they played the Browns. This is going to be the best defense they've played. And it's like, relax. Like, things are going to be fine. They're going to play their game. Like, the team is not as bad as you're hoping they are. Relax.
Myles Garrett had a career day and they still put the belt on them. So I don't know. That's all I got to say there.
Yeah.
2016 too, the best argument, that one, that could have been an undefeated season, but they played Jacoby Brissett with a broken hand, and then Tom Brady, and they lost to Seattle on a bad, I believe it was a late pass interference call that didn't get flagged against Seattle in that game.
Yep.
Like every game that year, boom, they just went out there and they kept beating teams. They just kept, kicking ass, taking names, and just said, hey, get in our way. We're going to show you. 2018 too, same thing. I always go back to that Charger playoff game. Oh, here come the Chargers. Chargers going to beat the Patriots. Brady had one of his best games, and honestly, the Victory Monday Many Men video may be the best thing he's done, obviously, because now he's being a fucking weirdo cloning animals. But I know, leave our quarterback alone. But I always remember that, the Many Men video, and then the, well, everyone thinks we suck and all that stuff, where I still say, in the moment we were like, okay, we're going to Kansas City. In the moment, we all should have been saying, oh, we're not losing the rest of the way. He's a man on a mission, because even Kansas City too, they got off the start back and forth. Oh, the D Ford offside, or like the pick, this and this. There's a lot of stuff with that game people don't talk about. It's even now, like I always thought Cleveland was going to be the game, just because it's like the Browns got one. But then now, honestly, even if they lose Sunday, they're a plus 2.5 point favorite. Everyone's like, oh, the Patriots aren't who we thought they were. It's like, this team won 4 games last year, and they're say if they're going to New York against the flightless Jets right now, and they're 7-3. No Patriot fan's going to tell you that's a bad thing, except for maybe Felger and Maz. Yep. Besides that, most Patriot fans are pretty happy with where the team is right now. Like I said, people do have the right to be pissed off they didn't do anything at the deadline, but at the same time, too, just know that, hey, there's a long-term goal with this team where you want to be competitive for years and years. You want to build draft picks. You want to accumulate free agents. You want to make sure that you're putting your team in the right position to be successful and get the best chance for a championship before Drake May is probably going to get paid. I would say probably first number starts with a 5 or a 6, and it's just how many zeros do you add to the end of those numbers, or how many other numbers do you put in there? And for everyone saying, oh, 60 million, it's because it's going to happen. Salary cap keeps going up. League keeps making money. YouTube TV and Disney are losing money, but that's another topic for another day that doesn't concern me, but it might concern McGarvin. But at the end of the day, there's a longer goal with this team that involves just getting back. Obviously, it's fun to say, hey, you had 5 years to screw around and no one did anything. But for right now, any Patriot fan, even if they end up losing the division to Buffalo, even if they do, and Buffalo Bills are like, oh, we beat you for the division, it's like, okay, great. You were supposed to win the division. The Patriots weren't supposed to be this team this year. We were expecting, hey, be flirty around Thanksgiving. Because if the Patriots were 5-4 right now, like what the Carolina Panthers are doing, which also, I don't know if you saw, but Meow, that podcast was wanting to come back. Then people said don't.
I am abreast of that situation.
They are 4-1. They are 4-1 since they left, and basically people were like, "Don't come back." And then they're like, "You know what? For the greater good of the team, we're not bringing the pod back."
Okay, it wasn't just the people either. It was like former players. Jonathan Stewart, their great former running back, and then Trey Boston. They're just like, "Hey, man, don't be selfish." I'm like, that is golden. I love that. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. And the guys seem to have taken it in jest. They're like, all right, for the good of the team, we won't. But I'm like, that's hilarious. The Panthers are frisky. I like the Panthers. Well, I liked the Panthers before. I remember on our preview show in the summer, I had said like, oh yeah, they could win the division. And then they started. I was like, oh man,
we put the belt on them.
I know, right? They looked like they'd completely given up. So, them being 5-4 now, like really making a charge. I don't even know how their season ends. And I don't think it really matters how their season ends. Like, just to come back from where they were, right? Because again, against the Patriots, they just looked like a team that just didn't want to play the sport. You know what I mean? Like, I had highlighted
one of the plays. Meow Mix quit podcasting.
Right, exactly. I'd had pointed out that there was a play where on the Hunter touchdown when he's going up the sideline, where JC Horn's is trying to chase him.
I notice that every time now.
And he just doesn't catch him. And I tweeted like, man, him not being able to catch him there is rough. And then people, what about the angles? I'm like, I'm not talking about angles or any of that bullshit. I'm talking about pure effort, right? Because JC Jackson is an elite athlete. He should be able to chase down Hunter Henry. Like, come on, Like if he can't catch him, it's because he's not trying very hard. Like so that team looked like they had absolutely given up. So for them to, come back strong, and now they're in position to like make some noise in their division. Like that matters, right? Like if Tampa loses on Sunday to the Patriots, I mean, Carolina has an opportunity to do the funniest thing. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be a fun division.
They're essentially playing. We'll get into the Week 10 slate in a second, but they're basically playing with house money from here on out.
Yep.
They finish 9-8 and 9, 9-8, or even 7-10 and miss out on the playoffs. I know right now they're 5-4, 7-10. That basically mean they'd be playing losing football. No Panther fan's gonna be mad at that because they look at it now where they're like, we've been through years of crap. I still don't know if they have I don't know if you fully give Bryce an extension after this year. I do think you just pick up the 5th-year option and see where it goes. Similar thing, I think, with CJ Stroud at this point, because there's some takes I'm ready to fire off with Houston. But Carolina's in that position now where it's like, you know what? Hey, basically Carolina is where people thought the Jets were going to be. But guess what? That's not what happened. Carolina's a fun story. I like Dave Canales. And they got some pieces there. They're finally putting it all together and just finding ways to win. It might not be ugly. It might not be the best. And you know what? It is what it is. But we bounce to Week 10 now, where Thursday Night Football. I mean, as long as the Denver Broncos can stop Brock Bowers from being Brock Bowers, I think this is a relatively a belt game tomorrow night. That's literally all I got on this game.
Who's it? Denver Raiders, right?
Raiders.
Yeah. The Raiders are in trouble. Yeah, that Denver defensive front is gonna get pretty pornographic out there. And I just don't. I mean, Gino is just not playing super well. Which sucks. I like Gino, so it's like, dang, like he's just not playing very well. But I think it'll be a fun game to watch, especially because I don't think it'll be a blowout, right? Because I just don't think Denver has not been that team this year. So like,
yeah,
I'm like, it'll probably be like a pretty decent game. I think it'll be like, do you remember when we used to get those really ugly AFC South matchups? Where
Tennessee,
like Thursday night football.
How could I forget?
Yeah, every single year. Every year.
In the mustard unis.
Yeah, so it's like, I think it'll be kind of like that, where it's like, man, like the matchup on paper looks brutal, and then you're like, actually, it's not so bad because like they're division rivals, and division games are always weird, right? They're always weird.
Yeah,
we'll see. I'm taking Denver in that matchup, but I think it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, from an outside partisan point of view, I think it'll be a fine matchup to watch. I'll say this with Denver. Denver is starting to impress me because of their comeback wins, but I need to see them be consistent against the good teams in the NFL because they haven't really had too many good matchups. I want to see, next Sunday they got Kansas City, and you and I got a Sunday off. And I know Kansas City's kind of faltering right now, but I want to see how you do it because you can't be the man until you beat the man, and Kansas City still is the boogeyman. Even I'm going to go on a side tangent before we go into Sundays. Look, I understand they're good. I just don't like how people are already giving them Super Bowl favorites and Patrick Mahomes MVP favorites when it's like there's better out there. But with Kansas City too, they got a lot of hard games on here. But I will say this, I cannot wait to see what they do to the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Man, yeah. Although Dallas, I mean, good for them. They made the 2 moves yesterday at the deadline. And I think those moves are going to matter, right? Because now you have Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams on the inside. I think that's just like, that's going to matter. I like their edge rusher, Sam Williams, number 54. I think he's a good player. So it's like,
we're calling Logan Wilson a standout, though.
No, I don't. Logan Wilson does not move me. My favorite linebacker from them is they have Maris Leofau, number 35. I think he's a lot of fun. I don't know how good he is, but he's a lot of fun to watch. Like he'd be flying around that bitch. So I'm like, could be fun. And then obviously I think Kansas City's just gonna lean on them, put it on them, and be like, all right, well, that's fine.
That's fine. And then we got to wake up early. We got 2 more of these Sunday morning from Germany. We got Falcons Colts. I'm gonna say this. So I don't know what capacity Sauce is going to be on this game, but we kind of found the recipe to beat the Colts last week. If you can neutralize Jonathan Taylor and you force Daniel Jones in uncomfortable situations, the Colts, I think they're going to be a good team, and I still think they'll be a threat come December, January. But we the formulas, the script's out there on how to beat the Colts, but I still think the Colts take care of business. And one other Falcons point I wanted to make, is it me or is Michael Penix Jr. like the hardest football you've ever seen? Like he's just fireballs out there.
Yes, he's a player. He's so interesting because he doesn't get talked about like that, but like he has an absolute cannon. Like that guy can put some heat on it, and you're like, sheesh. It's just all the stuff between that he kind of just needs to work out. I don't know. I give me the Colts in that game as well. I think the idea of stopping Jonathan Taylor is like appealing. You're like, oh yeah, I could just stop him and we could win the game that way. It's just like, yeah, but like stop him. Like do that. That's the hard part. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh, if you just stop him, it'll be great. I'm like, yeah, but that's the hard part, just stopping Jonathan Taylor. And I just don't know that the Falcons have the personnel.
The dude's up the middle to do that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Terrell Jennings get a touchdown on him, so let's just stop Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, you know, it's like I don't, you know, we'll see. I think it'll be a fun game all the same. I think offensively, I think Atlanta matches up well with the Colts defense. I think they can like, because on one hand, you're like, oh, you have to stop Jonathan Taylor. On the other hand, like they got to stop Bijan, right? Like they have to do that part. And that's just not that easy. Although I think Indy's front four is like legit. I just don't know that they, you know,
DeForest Buckner doesn't get talked about enough.
And that's just because he had a couple down years in a row after getting traded. And so people just kind of like forgot, but like he's a fantastic player. And that's going to be tough. And obviously adding Sauce Gardner into that defense. I'm going to put it out here. I've always enjoyed Sauce Gardner. I know people, especially Patriots fans, are like, oh, he's not that good. Oh, he holds too much. He's so grabby, la, la, la. And
he had that one great game his rookie year against Green Bay, I think it was.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear it. I do understand why you think that, but that is legitimately how they draw it up. Like that is, if you're like, hey, we're gonna go build a cornerback in a lab. It's gonna most of the time look like Sauce Gardner, right? Like Sauce Gardner, you know, Pat Surtain, Christian Gonzalez. Like these are the guys that, like, as far as like young stud corners, like that's what they look like, right? I think because he doesn't have a ton of ball production, people get really weird about Sauce Gardner. Like they're like, oh, but he only has like 2 interceptions in 3 years, and I'm like, yeah, because he's just not seeing the football. Like they're just not fucking throwing at him. Like, and there's a reason for that, right? Like there's a reason for that. He's too good for that.
Yeah.
And so I think his addition is going to really, really matter. And people, you know, I'm hoping with him being not on the Jets, people will finally come around to the idea that like he is that good. Like he is that good. He's going to matter for them. And I really like the trade for them. And I know, you know, 2 first-round picks. I think that's fine, right? If you want to go out there and get yourself like a shutdown corner, right? Like that's what they cost.
He's under contract for the next few years.
Yeah, you know, like that is what they cost. So by all means, I'm really excited to see that game. Although, like, enough with the international games, man. Enough. I've had enough.
We got 2 more to get through. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but Pat Surtain and Terrion Arnold actually have a podcast.
I did not know that. No.
Yeah. I kind of see the clips come up from time to time. I think Christian Gonzalez was on it recently. And then it's the first game of the 1:00 slate Sunday, Carolina versus New Orleans. Look, New Orleans, they are who we thought they were. I think people were just more or less shocked that Chris Olave didn't get traded. Maybe they're asking for too much. I don't really know, but
I think they just won't trade him.
Yeah,
and I actually agree with them on that. Like, I know it feels like, you know, they're a bad team, and you know, roping in the Jets on this as well. People were like, well, why would you keep Garrett Wilson? I just think you cannot trade away all of your talent. Like that's silly, right? You have a really good wide receiver. He's a premium player at a premium position. You go ahead and you extend it. Like trading a 25-year-old, you know, 25-year-old first-round pick receiver who like is productive when he's out there doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So I'm totally with them on that. Like, we can get rid of Shaheed. We can move Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams, but like Garrett Wilson is literally the only player on the Jets that matters. Olave on the Saints offense isn't the only player that matters, but he is a player that matters. So like, you know,
you need some pieces to you can't build the building without any bricks. You need some bricks.
Yes, because my thing is like the idea of just like, oh yes, you trade away all your assets to get all of these draft picks. I like it in theory, but in practice, you're now like, okay, cool. We're going to trade away Chris Olave, right? And we're going to get a first-round pick for him and maybe, you know, maybe a day 2 pick as well in the future. It's going to be sick. we now need to spend a first round pick or a day 2 pick on a receiver that we hope is as good as Olave. Just keep Olave, right?
Yeah.
Like that. Just keep him. Like these are players that you're going to have to replace anyway. Like, so don't trade him, right? Like that doesn't make any sense. For the Jets, I do understand them trading away, Sauce Gardner though, simply because I think what we're seeing there. And it looks pretty obvious for what, how people on Twitter are. It seems pretty obvious that what they're trying to do is restructure the entire defense. Like, not just like, oh, we need different players. It's like, hey, we're going to run a different kind of defense, and we need players who will be able to play that style of defense.
They want to play the Aaron Glenn, Detroit Lions, Seattle scheme defense.
Yeah.
I know everyone says Seattle. I actually have a take about Seattle. I'll wait till their game comes up. But yeah, it's one of those things where he wants guys that fit the mold. It's kind of like what Mike Vrabel's doing right now in New England.
Yep.
A lot of you might not agree with, but it's what's going to happen there.
Yep. It's and the reason Kyle Duggar and Jabril Pepper got showed the door, and Jalen Hawkins is playing well. Like, scheme fit matters, right? Like, if you're like, hey, we need our guys to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and you don't do X, Y, and Z at that level, it's like, then you're replaceable. And even if you are a great player, like, all right, cool, we will, take the 2 first-round picks and go draft a guy that we hope is as good as Sauce Gardner at doing X, Y, and Z, right? They may not be able to do, all of what Sauce Gardner can do, but like, they need to be able to do what we need them to do, and we're going to go out and get them. So that's just my take on that.
Yeah, and then with this game, I think we both think Carolina. I don't think there's really any other way to code it. Just maybe Panthers win. They go to 6-4. Saints, we all knew this year was coming. I feel like some people did. I think some people thought they were going to be bad. I think it's also true. I don't think they're bad. I think they're kind of like what we were last year bad, where it's just, more days than not, you're going to get outplayed.
The biggest issue they have is they got a fucking quarterback, right? Like, Tyler Shuck can't play. Like, and people are like, oh, well, he's young. Yeah. He's 26. We've watched him play in college. Let's all kind of be serious about that. Like, they're going to play him out this year, and next year they're going to go take a quarterback. Like, that's just what's going to happen.
Probably Fernando Mendoza at this point. And then the next one we move on to, just because I don't think there's anything else to say about that game, Chicago versus the New York Giants. Look, Chicago's, I don't know if they're ready to compete yet. I know they are 5-3 and they've looked good, but I don't know how serious to take them. I think more or less Bears fans just kind of want a team that potentially can squeak into the playoffs, because they have a incredibly, my phone's on 1%, so I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. Their schedule just down the stretch, because I know after the Giants game, it's not exactly sunshines and rainbows for the Chicago Bears, as I vamp because I'm trying to get to their page. Okay, so Chicago, after this, Vikings, Steelers, Eagles, Packers, Browns, Packers, 49ers, Lions.
Yeah, that's tough. But they're going to get themselves a nice cushy win on Sunday.
That's what I'm saying. They got to win games like this. You lose games like this, you really shoot yourself for later on. You win games like this, you're fine, because you still, like I said, still got to play the Lions.
Now you can take the losses that are inevitable and be all right with that. It's you win your winnables and your losses will come. That's fine, but you win your winnables. If they lose this game, that kind of tells me everything I need to know about the Bears.
Meanwhile, the Giants are just they were fun, but they're also very unlucky with their running backs ankle going sideways. Malik Neighbors ACL going pop, and then I really think there's going to be a new regime in there come 2026. I don't see how Dayball and Shane last. It's just graves are made. Gotta go sit and gotta go land them.
Agree.
Houston and Jacksonville. This is the take I was ready to say. I think there's a chance that if this season really goes south, that potentially DeMeco Ryans is either he's either fired, or he's one of those coaches where going into 2026. His name's like number 1 on every hot seat.
Yep. Houston is poorly coached. They are poorly coached. That is, you watch them play, right? And I know people want it to be like as simple as, oh, CJ Stroud sucks, right? Like, oh, he's terrible. He's been terrible since after his rookie year. I know that people want that to be like the easy button. But you just watch them play, and you're like, man, this is not a well-coached team. They don't take care of any of the little things, right? Like, just like the little things, like lining up, or like knowing when to clock the ball, things like that, when to call the timeouts. Like, they don't seem very well coached. And as a result, and they also, they went out, they drafted the 2 rookies on day 2, Jaden Higgins and
Jalen
Noel. and those guys just don't play. Like they just don't play. You're like, okay. I saw someone had tweeted like, hey, Houston is hiding them the same way the Patriots hid Jalen Polk and Javon Baker. And I'm like, I hope that's not the case. Because like those guys just didn't play because like they just weren't very good.
Yeah.
So I hope that's not the case. I know people really like Jaden Higgins. I was not one of those guys, but I think Jalen Noel's like a good player. So like I hope he works out for them.
Yeah, because like Higgins is one of those players. Like I was like on the Patriots, I'm like, hey, if he's there and if they have the pick, go for it. But then we'll see if Kyle Williams turns out to be what we think Kyle Williams is. But ultimately with Houston, it's just you expect so many steps forward, but they've taken nothing but steps back. And I think if they go to, I don't know if they're 3-5 or if they're 3. I think they're 3-5. I think they're already their bye week. You move to 3-6, like that's where I think the noise is going to get loud for D'Amico Ryans to be out. Like great DC, great first year as head coach, but it's just the what have you done for me lately to where you win the division, make the playoffs 2 years straight, but then you go to this. There's certain points where it becomes not just unacceptable and a coincidence that, hey, maybe firing Bobby Slowick wasn't the right call. Maybe you should have, not had him take the brunt of the heat, kind of like what Cincinnati's going through right now with Lou Anarumo.
Yeah, although Cincinnati is a little different. I know that Lou Anarumo took the heat because someone needed to be fired.
Yeah.
And it just like
Slowick was the same in that sense.
Yeah, someone had to go, and it was like, sorry, it's got to be you. But at least Houston has the personnel, right? Like,
yes.
So Bobby Slowick had to go because like, hey, we have all these good players and we're bad, right? Like offensively, we're just like not that good. So like someone has to go and it has to be you because it's not going to be me, right? If you're D'Amico Ryans, you're looking at him like, I'm not firing myself. So sorry, buddy. But in Cincinnati's case, like they just didn't have the personnel on top of like the coaching was fine. They just didn't have the personnel. And so it's like, hey man, someone has to get fired. I'm not firing myself. And I know we don't have the people, but you have to go because our defense is terrible. And somehow it's worse. So it's like, cool.
I love with him how he was like this hot head coaching candidate, and then they lost to the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game, and all that talk zipped immediately, and it stayed shut since.
Yep.
But with this game, though, Jacksonville, look, I think they find ways to win. They're not going to be a flashy team or popular team. Hell, who knows if they make the playoffs, but they find a way to do it here. I just can't pick Houston right now.
Yeah, I think both defenses are not very good. But the Jaguars just traded for Jacoby Meyer, so I think that'll give them a little boost.
Yeah. It'll be also nice to him. He basically gets the defrost from Vegas. Now he's going to the nice Jacksonville Sun to play football.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. Miami and Buffalo. What do we say about this one? Chris Greer officially out as GM after God knows how long. Mike McDaniel's just pretty much getting through the season, and then Sunday night during the last Sunday night football game, it's just going to be Mike. Here you go. Like we play them week 18, and I can't wait for the whole thing where it's like McDaniel's coach his last game, and it's like let him just get through it. It's the mercy. It's the mercy firing where it's like Stephen Ross is waiting for him in the tunnel where it's like bye-bye.
He's a guy that doesn't really make sense to. Well, I've actually changed my mind on in-season coach firings anyway. I just don't think they make a ton of sense. Because
it's why with the white flag and you want to be competitive all through.
Yeah, it's like
even if you're bad. Excuse me.
Yeah, like I don't think it makes a ton of sense. So I think he's just gonna kind of ride it out. And Greer was out because he needed to be out like 3 years ago. But more importantly, it's the same thing that we just talked about with Cincinnati. Same thing we just talked about with Houston, where it's like someone needs to be fired, and unfortunately, it's you.
And Champ Kelly's not going to be the GM next year. All these moves are Stephen Ross.
Exactly. This is pure. We are just holding down the fort until it's time for all of y'all that we are cleaning house in the spring. So or I guess in the winter. I wait till spring, right? We're cleaning house in the winter. Like everyone's going to be out of here. So just hold it down. This is going to be a shellacking. I think the Thursday night game against the Ravens kind of, reminded me a lot of the Patriots versus Panthers game where it's like that team does not want to play. Like they do not want to be out here. Like the game is 3 quarters too long for them. They just just don't want to be here. And every single time Tua gets up on the podium, he says something stupid. So that's nice.
I was throwing his teammates under the bus.
All the time. And then he threw the fans under the bus. He said, hey, it was too loud at the stadium. And I'm like, at home on a Thursday night, it was too loud. Wow. So I, things like that. I'm like, man, I think they're going to get an absolute butt whooping.
Yep. Like Buffalo, just like they play well with Miami. Buffalo's just a team. They're kind of finding their rhythm at the right time. For Buffalo, it's really going to come down to, hey, what do you do on December? What do you do on December 14th when you have to come to Foxborough? That's just the ultimate question for the Buffalo Bills right now.
I think the biggest thing the Bills need, they need the Patriots to lose another game. They just need the Patriots to lose before they lose their next one. Because I think if they have to come out here in December and like play for what is functionally going to be the division, already a game back, that could be tough for them. That could be tough for them because again, losing the head to head there will put them has them in a bad spot. Losing the head to head in week 5. So they just need to take care of business, and they need the Patriots to miss a step. Unfortunately, they're playing a first place schedule, and I just think it's more likely they miss a step than the Patriots do. So we'll see.
We finished with the Jets and the Dolphins. They finished with the Jets and the Eagles.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, one of us got the way better of that one. Like,
we had to play the Giants. They had to play the Eagles. They had to play the Chiefs. We had to play the Raiders.
Yeah.
That's how the cookie crumbles. They play. I don't remember who they play next week, but I know they play Houston, and then they still have to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I'm glad we played Pittsburgh when we did, because Pittsburgh is looking like a different team right now, but we'll talk about that in a little bit after. But that December 14th game, it won't get flexed because of who's playing in there, but it's Dallas, Minnesota right now, and that game should get flexed out. But we all know Dallas Cowboy games don't get flexed out of prime time.
Yeah, I also think that low-key that game could be like pretty competitive.
Yeah,
I think those teams are a lot closer to each other than anyone really thinks at this point, because the Cowboys defense has been so bad. But I think both of those teams are like pretty close in terms of like talent. So like that could end up being like game of the week kind of thing, like where everyone's like, oh man, this is like a pretty good game.
And speaking of those Minnesota Vikings, they're taking on the Baltimore Ravens, who I feel like since we last spoke to her, Sophie's boyfriend Sam's kind of sports overall psyche's probably shot up a little bit. I know the record's still, they went to bed 1-5 a couple weeks ago. They're 3-5 right now. They still have a favorable schedule. Going back to Thanksgiving too, I'm looking forward to that Thanksgiving night game. Now actually has meaning, because if it was Lamar Jackson and Jake Browning, Lord help us all.
Right.
But now it's Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson, so just watch it. It's going to be like 45-43, and it'll be fun. But as this game goes, I want to pick Minnesota, but Baltimore's going to run the table and win the North.
I think I was just waiting for you to finish so I could say the exact same thing. They're gonna win the division.
Yeah, they're gonna win. They're gonna win this game. They're gonna win the division. They play Cleveland next week. It's just Baltimore's going to keep just cruising along, unless they stumble on their own 2 feet. There's no way I can really see them not running the table at this point.
I agree. I think give me the Ravens this week as well. So.
Like with the Vikings too. Like the Vikings look like a good, competent team, but I feel like they're gonna roller coaster their way to like a 9-8 season and missing the playoffs. That's how I feel about them.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree. I also don't know that I think that they're very good. I think their defense has obviously Brian Flores. Their defense is going to obviously put some guys in an absolute blender. I just don't really buy the offense. I like the players. I don't buy JJ McCarthy right now. So.
I need to see a bigger sample size and him playing well outside of the state of Michigan before I really buy stock in him.
Yeah, agree.
I was also vamping because I forgot which game, but it's a game we don't want to talk about. It's Jets and Browns. I really could care less about this one. This game is just so gross.
I hope they both lose.
Yeah, like tie.
Tie. Yeah.
If you want a low scoring game, this game's going to be like 9-6.
Yeah. Dylan Gabriel can't play. But at the same time, the Jets just traded away their defense. Quincy Williams just got benched. Like, that's going to,
I was shocked he wasn't traded.
Yeah, right? Hello?
Yeah, I was shocked. Quinnen, like my friend Danny, who's a Jets fan, he basically said to me, like, hey, Quinnen next after Sauce got traded. And I was like, Quincy too? And he was like, yeah, I think they were expecting him. Like, Brees will be an off-season thing. But, like, at the same time, too, you kind of got to keep players like that. But for this game here, like, I don't know. F around why. I want to say Jets because the Browns are a stupid organization, but I'm going Cleveland because they actually have, parts.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. Like, whatever you say. Like, you could tell me on either direction. You could be like, oh yeah, the Browns are going to win by 50. And I'd be like, yeah, probably. You'd be like, oh no, the Jets are going to win by 82. I'm like, yeah, probably. Like,
do I give a shit about this game also? Yeah. No, not really.
Not really. Yeah. But, well, you know what? Give me the Browns. Give me the Browns because they have Myles Garrett. Boom. There we go.
Yeah.
Found the angle. There it is.
I'm going to say this about our game. Patriots going to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. They lose this game. It's kind of like when we lost to the Colts in 2021, where it's like, they're bound to lose eventually. They go into Tampa and they win this game, though. You're 8-2, and your next 3 games are really easy. You play the Jets, you play the Bengals, and you play the Giants before the bye week.
Yeah, give me the Pats by 9. Boom. There it is.
Yeah. You know what? I just, if Chris Godwin and Bucky Irving were probably going to play even without that, the only way I think the Patriots were to lose this game is if Emeka Ibuka goes psycho mode. That's the only way I see them losing this game, but I don't think
I was more worried about the game on Sunday than I was on Sunday night. Because my biggest concern was like, oh man, like if Christian Gonzalez doesn't play, this can get really ugly. But Christian Gonzalez is going to play, so like we're all be fine.
Yeah. Who knows if Ramondre Stevenson plays? I don't think Kayshon Boutte plays. And you know what? I think this is the week Kyle Williams gets into the end zone.
Yep, agree.
Yeah.
Find his footing. He's going to go for 4 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. Heard it here first.
Yep. But what does Mac Hollins dress as? I don't know. The militant man I loved. The bishop with the bare feet was great as well.
The bishop was a lot of fun, especially because he was walking in diagonal. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know his personality enough to make an educated guess on where he goes next.
We'll have to wait and see. But there's another Panthers fan video that's circulating Twitter that I'm going to send to you after we're done recording, by the way.
Okay.
I'm going to say this first game of the 4:00 window. Are the Seattle Supersonics? Are the Seattle Seahawks a low-key Super Bowl contender from the NFC? I think they're a potential
NFC,
to be dark.
Let's see. The NFC is tough. That's going to be a tough division to come out, tough conference to come out of because, right? Like, are they better than
3 really good teams in the Arizona Cardinals in that division?
Yeah, I think the Arizona can be frisky too. That's the best part. I don't think they're Super Bowl favorites. No,
I meant are they in that contender sphere where they can potentially make a deep run in January?
No, right? Because in January they'd have to play like, let's see, the guys, the teams they would potentially have to play. Right? You're looking.
Rams, Niners.
Would they beat the Rams? No, because the Rams always kind of beat the Seahawks. Would they beat the Niners? Probably not, but maybe. But division games are weird. Would they
Mac went to MetLife and took the Giants chain last week.
The what?
I love that Mac went to MetLife and took the Giants chain last week.
Yeah, that for sure. Do they beat Green Bay? No. Do they beat
Detroit?
Philly? No. Do they beat Detroit? No. Like that is a tough. If they were in the AFC, yeah, definitely for sure, sure.
They got a lot of nice pieces though. Like I think JSN's the guy there.
Phenomenal player. And he was one of those players that coming out in the draft, like it was obvious. You're like, that guy's gonna be so good. People are like, oh, but he's not that fast. And you're like, he doesn't need to be fast. He's really good. Oh, but look at his, he's a volume guy. And I'm like, yeah, no, it doesn't matter. He's really good. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't my top receiver, right? Because I had him in the 3-way tie with him, Zay Flowers, and Jordan Addison, and I refused to pick. I was like, it doesn't matter. Either one of those guys, they're all going to be good. And lo and behold, all 3 pretty good. And you're like, I told you.
That 23 draft class as a whole, like, there's not a lot of like bad picks from that first round.
Yeah.
When you look
at Emmanuel Forbes was one, but
you know what I mean though. There's like a lot of guys we look at from that draft and you're like, hey, there's a lot of good pieces. With the Seahawks too, like for some reason, I don't know if you've seen this, they're like, I think Mike McDonald, they've only lost like once on the road since he started last year, but they're weirdly bad at home.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'll like same thing too, because of my phone being bad, I'll get you the records after, but like they're a better road team, but in a game like this, and also too with Arizona, I love how it finally took Marvin Harrison Sr. calling out the Cardinals, which I don't know if you heard him, but apparently he said, if I played for the Cardinals in this offense, they would ask for my gold jacket back.
Yeah, that is such a funny quote.
And he doesn't talk. That's the thing. Like, Senior doesn't really say much or do much media. So where he came out, and then I love how the Cardinals realized, hey, if we get this really tall first-round receiver and Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball, we're going to do great things.
Yeah. That's how really, the truth is
Kyler Murray won't be there at least the next couple years.
Murray, yeah. The Kyler Murray is the one that's kind of holding that offense back. I think he's uber talented. Like, the talent is all there. I just think
a fresh start.
Jacoby plays in the offense on time better. Like, he drops back, he finds where the ball needs to go, and he gets the ball there. Like, not gonna be flashy. It's not, he's not gonna like wow you like, oh my gosh, look at what Jacoby did. But like he keeps the offense moving, and that really matters, right? If you're playing a timing based offense, you're like, we just need the ball to be there on time. Like the ball just needs to get to where it needs to get when it's supposed to get there. And Kyler Murray was not very good at that. And he's never really been very good at that because he's more of an improviser, right? Like he, if he needs to wait a half beat and, make a play, he will do that. Where Jacoby's like, if I don't get this ball out there, I'm going to get sacked. Like I'm going to get crushed. So that ball just needs to get out there.
Yeah, like I think Kyler Murray too, like he'll still be good. I just think he needs to go somewhere else. But for him though as well, it hasn't really been the same since that report came out when they were doing his contract and the whole homework clause got in there where it's like, hey, you got to do this and the whole video game stuff. That's where I feel like it was a bit of a slippery slope. Obviously, that was the old regime with Steve Keim, new regime, but Jacoby Myers effectively is preventing Jonathan Gannon from getting fired. So good for him.
Yeah.
Because I still don't believe in Jonathan Gannon, but you know what? Hey, if you can finagle your way to another year of being, and also, I don't know if you know this or not, Cardinals, one of the oldest organizations in the NFL. Their longest coach, the longest a coach has been there is 6 years.
Was it Bruce Arians?
He was 5. It's Ken Wisenhunt, and it's another name that I'm blanking on.
Wow, I did not know that. No.
Yeah, they also played in St. Louis, and they were also called the Phoenix Cardinals at one point.
I did know that.
But yes, and also Emmitt Smith, famous alum, a famous player who played there at the end of his career. But with this game, though,
good trivia question. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yes, it's just one of those like random facts. Also, I've been watching that Dallas Cowboy documentary on Netflix that I still have to finish. But with this game here, like I'm going Seattle. I don't think I really need to say much. Just what? Yeah. Seahawks. I'm gonna wait for the ticker to roll back. But no, the thing with Seattle too is I'm happy about is that Sam isn't a 1-year wonder. I like the fact that hey, he's a competent quarterback. I don't know if he's a long-term answer, but for right now, he's doing his job. He's doing fine.
He's playing well. He's just he's a guy that I think is really, really, really easy to rag on. And so people will just not take him seriously for a very long time, for way longer than he deserves. And even when he's playing well, he's a good quarterback.
I think if he wins a playoff game this year, a lot of that will go away.
I hope.
Yeah.
But that whole, the biggest issue is that he had, what was it? What was the illness? Mono. He had mononucleosis, and then he was seeing ghosts. Like, I think that wombo combo just like,
Bill Belichick always put the belt to him.
Yeah. Which is tough because like, he that's what he does. Like, if you were an inexperienced quarterback, like Bill Belichick is going to put you through the ringer, and that's what happened. So, bummer for him though, because like now, anytime he does anything, like he's seeing ghosts, or he has, definitely, and I'm like, all right, come on, man, like let him live.
This year's going to be so great when him and Kraft both go in the Hall of Fame at the same time, but that's another conversation for another.
I don't think Kraft getting in, but that's another conversation all the same.
Yeah, no, Belichick's going to get in. It just causes the pity party to go up because there's no you can't not deny Bill Belichick going into Canton already.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's one of those things. Rams and 49ers. This game is in San Francisco. Look, the Niners are kind of doing their thing, but
Niners have a weird energy around them, man.
Everyone else gets hurt, but Christian McCaffrey stays healthy. It's the deal they made with the devil.
Yeah, but Christian McCaffrey hasn't been Christian McCaffrey as like a runner.
He looked like it last week.
Yeah, I guess, but when he has his season-long rush for the year, 16 yards, that's just like not very Christian McCaffrey. You know what I mean? Like he has 562 yards on the year, and we're halfway through the season. Like that again, that's fine. It's just it's not what we're used to from him.
Yeah. Maybe it's his age showing. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. But
that team is just bad juju right now.
Yeah. But the weird thing with them is, though, they find a way.
Sure.
They find a way. I don't know if they do it here.
Well.
I don't know if they do it here, but like, what's to say they don't? What's to say they don't find a way?
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I'm not going to take that bet, but yeah, I agree. If they win, I'm not surprised, but I don't think they will.
Yeah, like the Rams kind of need these games too, because the Rams are trying to stay hold as well. I saw in a mock draft today that they would be the team to take Arch Manning because remember they've got 2 first-round picks because of the Atlanta Falcons. So,
is Arch Manning even going to come out this year?
I honestly think if Texas were to make a run and get to the college football playoff and he has a great playoff, yes. They don't get to the playoff. I don't think it happens.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna assume that he's not gonna come out. I don't think he's had the year that.
I'm just showing you a mock draft that I saw.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, like, I don't think he's had the year that he expected to have.
He lost to Billy Napier.
So I think they, his team would kind of advise him like, hey, maybe just go back one more round and kind of boost your stock, because right now, obviously still a first rounder, but like
Isn't
we're not
next year's
talking.
class stupid as well?
Yes, but you want the better tape than what you've put out there this year.
Yeah, I just no. I just noticed that like everyone keeps saying next year's class is stupid because you're going to have Ryan Williams, you're going to have Jeremiah Smith. There's going to
Yep.
be other players there. This year, the quarterback class is like, hey, the names are not as flashy, but the talent level for next year is going to be so good that if you get caught up in that, you're good. I think Detroit has a get right game against Washington, and just Marcus
Washington
Mariota.
is done for, man. They're absolutely done for. Stick a fork in them.
Is Dan Quinn on the hot seat potentially?
No, I don't think so, but I
think he's one of those names for next year if they don't improve.
Yeah, I don't really know that it's a coaching issue. I think
not having a defense of all guys over the age of 35.
Yeah, like I think the roster's bad.
Having the unction on defense.
Yeah, yeah. That's the issue with them. Personally, I know that GMs really skate on a lot of the in-season discussions about who needs to be on the hot seat or otherwise, but they did not put together a very good roster.
No, they did not. And Detroit, like I said, it's just, hey, your time to get right, your time to play well. Kind of do you play awesome. Pittsburgh and the LA Chargers, where Justin Herbert's probably going to be running for his life in this game. So I think Pittsburgh's kind of finding their rhythm. They're going to flirt with a 9-8 record, maybe 10-7, and then losing the wild card round. But it's really hard to go from Joe Alt to Trevor Penning. I feel like them trading for Penning was more of just a stopgap to have an offensive line because your two best guys are done for the year.
Yeah, Trevor Penning is not that good at the sport.
He just had that one clip from his pre-draft thing where he said legally assaulting the dude across from you in his pre-draft process. I just like, oh, I love this guy.
Yeah. I guess personality-wise, like people really, really enjoy him. On the field, I'm like, yeah, 70 can't play, bro. Like he's just not a very good player. And if you didn't know the name, right, you just took the jersey off the back and you just watched him play, you'd be like, yeah, that guy was probably like a day 2 or 3 pick.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He was first rounder, and it's like, oh, but he reeks. So I don't know. The Chargers are a weird team, though. I don't know. It's like when I watch them, they look awesome. But when I'm not watching and I just see the scores, I'm like, what the fuck is happening over there? Like, why is that a close game? Like they went, 27-20 against the Titans, and I'm like, And I'm like, well, that game,
Cody Barton pick 6.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe that game wasn't that close. And then I looked and I was like, I don't know. The score is kind of reflective of what they did. Like, it wasn't fluky, right? Like the Titans were like in that game. I don't know. They're a weird team. But I also just don't like Pittsburgh. That's the other side of it. I just don't think they're that good. So like, I can see the Chargers just like absolutely rubbing their nuts all over that defense. I don't buy it, man.
I feel like this week's kind of one of those games where everyone thinks Pittsburgh's kind of go in there and just rolls over them, but then the Chargers kind of sneak a win out.
Yep, I can see it.
Yeah, because like Justin Herbert's a quarterback I've always really liked. I feel like he's another guy that he's an easy target for just picking on whenever he has a bad game.
Yeah.
It's always, Justin Herbert's Mr. What If, or like, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Like it's always that. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And
man, if you will. Yeah.
If man, that's literally Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna go the Chargers in this one. I think it'll be a fun game. And then Monday night we wrap up with honestly probably one of the better Monday night games of the year with the Eagles and the Packers. Man, both teams are goofy. Like the Packers, like they found ways to win, but then they also can lose any game. And then the Eagles, week to week, you don't really know what Eagles team you're gonna get. That's what I think makes like. But then the Eagles, though, here's the thing: they've got Monday Night Football against the Packers, and then they got Sunday Night Football against the Lions.
Yeah,
I think this is a game.
Both those games.
For the sake, I think for this game here, Philadelphia needs it more than Green Bay. I think Green Bay still is a good team, even though they're coming off a bad loss because Jordan Love didn't play that well. But you have a rested Eagles team coming off the bye with a point to prove still to like keep raising their Super Bowl stock because of the point to, questions about offensive line, questions about the defense. They added Jalen Phillips. Their secondary when you're starting Adoree Jackson on a regular basis, God help your soul. But I'm going to trust the Eagles here to kind of get right. And even though the Packers have to get right too, I just think Packers are good. They're not great. Eagles have the potential to be great. So that's why I'm going to go Eagles.
Yeah, I could. I think the Packers lose the game. I think it's an excellent game for their offense, though. I think they can absolutely light them up. You're talking about Keely Ringo. You're lining up against Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. You're like, oh, this is free eats. Like we're gonna stuff ourselves, fellas. Like Christian Watson's back. I think personally,
losing Tucker Kraft sucks.
Yes, that does blow. But in terms of just the wide receivers, I honestly think Green Bay might have like the best receiver room in the league, right? Like 1 through 5, right?
Yeah.
They have Jaden Reed. They have
Golden.
Matthew Golden. Christian Watson is back. They got Joshua Dobbs and
Jaden Reed's still in IR.
Oh, okay. So and then who is the other guy? Dontavian Wicks.
Yes.
It's the other one. I'm like, they have a great receiver room, bro. And the Eagle secondary does not move me at corner, right? Cooper DeJean inside is obviously a good corner there. I know they've been discussing whether or not they were going to put him outside, just kind of give them a little more versatility and a little better play on the outside. But that's going to be a great stats game. Josh Jacobs in the backfield. It's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
Saquon Barkley, all that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be a high scoring kind of, and by high scoring, I mean, it's probably going to be like, 30-27.
Yeah, not like a 40-point bonanza.
But like a game where you're like, oh, a lot of offense was played. No, it's a pretty good defense was played. Micah Parsons. Oh, goodness. That's going to be a great game.
Jalen Carter.
Yeah. Oh, man. And now I'm excited. I'm excited about that game. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, we're excited about that. We're excited about Week 10. We're also excited about the Patriots being in 7th heaven. For those of you who don't know out there, McGarvin's actually fighting through a little bit of a cold right now. So he was a trooper. He was an MVP for this hour plus that we went. He said he was, don't mind me if I don't have the energy, but sir, you brought the fucking energy tonight. And I thank you enough for that. You tried. You did more than tried. You succeeded.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. But just remember this, guys. Drake May is a lot of fun. The fact, too, that he got that huge him and Will Campbell at the game, and then their girlfriends and wives are just like sitting there like, yeah, those are our boys. Those are our man.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that they hang out, like just hang. Also, as a quick aside, Drake may just be outside. Like he's just like around the state, like just in Massachusetts, just doing shit. And I'm like, I love that. Like, I love that for him. He's like, I just live here. And it's like, I'm just going to go do this thing, I guess. Like, check out what's going on. I'm like, wow, you just live here and you like it here. Like, that's cool.
It is. It is. Drake May's cool. That's how we end the show. Drake May's cool. For McGarvin, I'm Griff. Enjoy Week 10, everybody. Let's get number 8.